Okay, so this is funny because I believe these two came out for another sign like sometimes last month. So first of all, we do have the Tower and we do have the Death card, okay? Now, the Tower is something that is built on faulty foundation, okay? It wasn't well thought out. It might have been discussed, but I feel like a big part of you know that it wasn't going to work out. So it's something that you had really high hopes and expectations for. And I feel like it's basically a big disappointment. That's what I'm sensing for a lot of you in the mundane sense. This can actually be like something that was accumulated, built up over time, such as a career, such as like financial assets, like wealth, and a relationship where two people were involved and there might have been some type of a breakdown in that relationship, or some type of like truths being revealed in a very very swift manner that shook the foundation of that relationship, okay? So I do feel that a lot of you are dealing with this situation. It came out so early in the spread. It's like the first card that popped out, which indicates to me that it might have been something that happened in September, and I hope it already happened rather than happening this month again. So I feel like this is a situation where it can no longer sustain, and you're going to have to go a different route. Hence, it's linked up here with the Death card, which indicates irreversible transformation and changes happening in all sectors of your life, okay? So what I'm sensing as well is, especially if you are living with another person, cohabiting with another person, or even married and in a relationship with another person, there might be a situation like some type of a falling out where someone might be moving, okay? And let me just emphasize, the first two cards deals with energy from the previous month. And I do feel that if it permeates through this month, I'm going to pull out another clarifier card, but if it permeates in this month, I definitely feel like some ways of doing has come to an end, and you're going to have to move on. You're going to have to move forward, and you're going to have to forge ahead because the old way was not working, okay? So let me pull out an additional card to clarify for you. Can you show me what the Tower pertains to? Okay, so we've got something related to travel, voyage, some promises, something that was planned or solidified with another person and they flaked out. So I feel like you were hoping on something. Your hopes and expectations were kind of dashed as a result of this person being flaky. And I do feel it's an opposing energy from you, okay? So somebody made promises and I feel like they reneged on their promises. So I definitely feel that coming through. We have a messenger here. So the knights are all messengers. And in this situation, it was something that was discussed in depth. And I feel like it pertains to travel because this is like the warrior, the traveler of the deck with the Knight of Wands here. It might pertain to a fire sign, a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. And interestingly enough, the last month, I did a reading for Capricorn, I'm sorry, not Capricorn, Scorpio. The Tower came out and the Page of Wands came out, which dealt with inflammatory news. And that actually came to fruition for quite a few Scorpios. So in this situation, it deals with a voyage, it deals with a trip, or it deals with like another fire sign in your midst, okay? So I feel like there's something coming through that's really gonna transform the relationship that you have with this person. And I see a lot of damage control happening for this month, so I feel like somebody is trying to be on their best behavior to try to fix or mend a relationship or some type of breakdown. I'm sorry, Cancers. I'm sorry. So with the Death card, it basically means to me that you're going to get past this, okay? You're going to get past this. So the next two cards deals with kind of like a little bit of a stalemate, a little bit of a standoff here, okay? So you have the King of Cups as well as the King of Wands. When I read this, I basically feel like this is, I think about the Cold War, and I think about like one person is kind of like strategically trying to figure out what the other person's doing. The other person likewise is trying to sit there and, trying to figure out. You're guessing your opponent's next move, and they're doing the same thing to you, vice versa. No one wants to be a bigger person and make the first move or make that first gesture. There is like a sense of intense competition in your environment. And I feel like this might pertain to some interpersonal relationship where you feel like someone is trying to, show off, where you feel like the other person is very unpredictable and you're playing your cards close to your chest. You're trying to figure out a situation. There's a lot of like strategy that is involved here. And let me just say as well, we have the King of Cups, which is a water sign, and the King of Wands, a fire sign. And these are traditionally, the opposite element. So I feel like you're dealing with a very, very conflictual situation where you and another person just can't really understand one another. You're racking your brains trying to figure out what they're thinking, and they likewise are doing the same to you. And both of these are king energies, meaning that in this situation, I feel like both of you are trying to you're bringing your best foot forward. You're putting your best foot forward, which means you're not trying to be petty. You're just trying to arrive at a compromise. Okay. So some of you could be going through some type of legal battle with another person who's very, very, very intelligent, very crafty. And I don't feel it's in a bad way. I feel they're very intelligent, and there's some type of a showdown, some type of a standoff to see like who's going to get the prize. A lot of you might be in competitions, like some type of just really intense competition. I feel like this is a really, really competitive type of energy where one false move and your opponent will end with everything. But I do see, it's kind of like I just feel like there's a lot of silence. There needs to be some type of a truce that needs to be reached or that needs to be discussed. There's a lot of things on your mind, both of you, but no one's willing to make a move. So there's a massive stalemate here, okay? So two kings indicates competition automatically, and because their elements are so opposite, it feels to me as if this is going to be like, drawn out. It's going to be long standing, and it's not going to be a swift victory. Okay. It's going to get drawn out. And I do see, with the Justice card here, it indicates some type of a court battle. And first of all, if you are dealing with another person that you just can't get your point across, you need a mediator. Okay. And a mediation will most likely come through, and that's going to provide the best outcome for the both of you, so that you can end this type of a stalemate. What I'm also feeling is you might be given a mediator, okay, like a third party that's coming through, because we do have the King of Swords. So this is like the consultant, the advisor, the wise counsel, the person that is able to detach his ego and his feelings from a situation and just think about things and walk through things and arrive at a solution that is more rational. So there's a lot of feelings stirred up for this month, Cancer. So be very, very patient with yourself and with others. Don't jump to conclusion. I feel like, this is the fire. It deals with drive, ambition, and the ego. And the water, it indicates like sensitivity, clairvoyancy, and it also indicates like spirituality and higher wisdom. And the route that you take is not predetermined. It's pretty much, still on the table for you. Do you want to go with like the more conflictual route, which deals more with ego energy, trying to push a specific agenda, trying to prove a point, or trying to, hold on to these grudges and pettiness? Or do you want to take the high route, which is more about spirituality, forgiveness, and wanting to create harmony and make peace with another person, okay? So you have two paths that are laid out for you. And likewise, the person that you're dealing with, they themselves have their own two paths that are laid out for them. And I feel like one person is taking one path and the other one is like deviating. So we already have this kind of like perpetual conflict. And you need a mediator in order to settle this, because no one is really acquiescing, and it's going to be a long, drawn out battle, and it's going to be costly, and no one's really going to win. So I do feel that you want to reassess and really, seek a third party to mediate for you guys, okay? What's coming through as well is the Queen of Cups and the Nine of Wands. So we have, well, let me just go through this card first. There's way too much energy coming through. So the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Cups, this is, I would say this is your energy here. This deals with a very, very young, innocent, and a very loving person. Somebody with a lot of love and affection to give to other people. What it's saying in this situation is, sometimes this energy can be a little bit like too trusting, too loving, too naive, and she or he is blindsided by everything that's going on. So one of the things that they want you to be very, very careful about is make sure that people keep their word, and make sure that you are a little bit more guarded when it comes to the information that you are sharing with other people, the trust that you place in other people, not to be cynical or to be like jaded or, disillusioned. But I do feel that it's really important for you to be a little bit more strategic for this month, and to think things through in a more rational manner rather than going off with your emotions, okay? So impulses needs to be curbed, as well as like, that ego energy where we want to be right, where we're just like, I feel like one person is overly trusting, and then the other person is overly suspicious. So there's a lot of opposition in this card. It's quite interesting. If you are dealing with another water sign, okay, just if you are dealing with another water sign, I definitely feel that, like one person is just very, very skeptical and itching for a battle, and then the other person is kind of like, it doesn't understand where the other person's coming from, what produced this type of paranoia, or what produced this type of defensiveness. So one of the things that you want to do, and going back to this stalemate standoff here, okay, one of the things that you want to do here is, one person is on the defense, itching to battle. So in order to let their guard down, somebody's going to have to make a grand gesture, and possibly you, to prove to the other person that you come bearing friendship and goodwill. So I do sense like killing them with kindness. That's going to be something that you need to practice. But I feel like it's going to take a long time to break down or dismantle this person's barriers. And as a result of it, I feel that you are going to have to be quite strategic and also quite rational in the way that, you appeal to them. So, do a little bit of planning, find out what they like and things like that, and try to relate to them more on a human level so that they can let their guard down a little bit, okay? So it seems to me like for a lot of you, you might be working in an environment, and I'm feeling very, very strongly, I feel like jails, prisons, if you're working in that environment, or if for whatever reason you find yourself in that environment, I feel like you're dealing with people who are very hardened by life's challenges, and they're very skeptical. They're very jaded. They're very disillusioned, and they've had it very, very rough. So it's going to take a lot of effort from your end to get them to soften up or to let their guard down. So you've got some work cut out for you. And I do sense, you're going in there with the best intentions, but you're going to hit some roadblocks, and you didn't anticipate these roadblocks. You figure that, you can go in there and charm them. But I do sense that there's going to be a lot of opposition. And I feel like you might not have anticipated this, Cancers. So you're not going to shy away from conflict or opposition. I don't sense that, but I feel like you're going to have to change your approach, and maybe um, you know, like emotional connections take a really long time to develop. They don't just happen overnight, you know? And then when you're dealing with a population that has been very hardened by life's challenges and their heart chakras are closed off, it basically means that you're gonna have to like show that you are consistent, and you're going to have to put in a lot of work. So consistency over time. It might take months to see a breakthrough. It might take years. But I feel like consistency is it's going to be the only thing that you can rely on. And then once you break that consistency, that sense of stability, then the other person was just like, I knew it. So I feel like they're looking for you to fail. I feel a lot of you might be working in a jail capacity where you might be mentoring someone, you might be mental health specialist, you might want to help them, but I feel like they're very skeptical and they're very nervous and they don't trust you. They don't trust people in general, not just you. So I feel like don't try to establish that emotional connection because it's a client therapist type of a relationship where it's already starting off on a unbalanced foot. So you want to just get in there, do your job, and over time you will know that if you're consistent with it and if you have the best intentions, I do feel that you're going to be able to break down some defenses. Okay, I feel as well some of you might be dealing with. I'm feeling stray animals, animals that have been abused. I'm also feeling children, like orphans or children like juvenile delinquents is what I'm sensing for a lot of you. So you're coming in with somebody who is scarred, okay? And regardless of whether, whatever capacity they're in, if they've been traumatized, if they've been scarred, they're always going to be overly anxious. They're always going to be like with their guard up and they're waiting for the other person to hurt them. So I feel like you want to heal them and you want to take this on as a personal project. But I feel like it's really important for you not to be so emotionally immersed that you treat this person as if they are a victim that you need to help them, okay? Treat them like a client and treat them in a way where I feel like you show them a little bit more, I guess, like a lot more courtesy. So it's not about sympathy or empathy. It's more about having a specific goal and going into a session with a specific agenda, so that you can be most effective. So try to detach your emotions from the situation. Is going to be a lot better for you. I feel some of you are in love with somebody who has like a very, very damaged past. And you take it upon yourself to fix them. Be very, very careful about that, okay? It's like breeding ground for a very, very codependent, toxic type of a relationship. There is definitely power differentials, power struggles already I see in this spread. So just be very careful about that. If that sounds familiar, you want to really tell yourself, that's not really true love if you're trying to fix another person. People need to deal with their own karma their own way. And when it comes to mental health issues, they need to seek therapy. It's not anybody's job to fix another person, okay? So that's what I'm feeling here. Now, in terms of the last cluster that we have here, we have the Ace of Wands as well as the Strength card. So first of all, the Ace of Wands indicates a new venture, new beginnings, new passions being stirred in you. And what it's saying for you here is to be a little bit careful again, because I feel like you are dealing with a situation where you are very, very passionate about another person, okay? And first of all, I feel like you and the other person are very, very different, night and day. This is like that Beauty and the Beast syndrome where, it's like the savior complex. This differences in upbringing. It's like two people, like that Romeo and Juliet type of a love story where two people are so different and they romanticize it. They make it so that against all odds these people are together. But I do feel that there's an element here of being careful, being cautious, don't jump the gun, being a little bit more rational, realize that this is not something that can be built on a good footing because the preconditions to have a stable type of union are not met, okay? So you are kind of like being warned about this so that you can see it through, a realistic lens rather than rose-colored glasses. Don't idealize a situation. Don't put somebody on a pedestal where they don't belong. And especially if we come to any relationship with the mindset that I just want to be there for the other person. I feel bad for them and I want to fix them. I want to help them. And if that's the basis that you want to work towards, you're looking at this person already as a project and not as an equal relationship partner. And you're also kind of like undermining their own sense of free will and their own sense of human agency. So I feel like there are a lot of lessons that needs to be boundary issues and lessons about, where you end, where other people begin, interfering with other people's karma or creating bad karma. So just be really careful about this month. The energy is very volatile, okay? And so I would urge you, if you are watching this, just, tread very carefully. Coming into October, I don't want it to sound like it's scaremongering. But what I feel is a lot of these things have been dragged on for quite some time. If it's a codependent, toxic type of relationship where someone has been very damaged and you're coming in trying to, ease their pain to make them a project, it's already not going to work. And then I definitely feel like somebody's trying to charm the other person. There has been like a lot of disappointments, a lot of flaking out with one person. Somebody's trying to charm the other person in order to, give them another chance. And the same flake out energy is going to happen again because innately is built on faulty setting, okay? It's built on a false sense of security. And I do see a little bit of just a lot of opposition with the people that you're dealing with. They're very, very different from you, and you see them a certain way, and they're not that way, and you're trying to fit them into the wrong box, okay? And you're idealizing something here, Cancers. So be very careful about that, okay? You're seeing a situation through a very naive or a very idealistic lens. All right, so take it very slowly if it's a new person that you're dealing with, either romantically or just somebody that you've just met. I feel like you're jumping the gun, okay? And what else I'm also seeing here with this Ace of Wands is I feel like, going back to what I mentioned initially, there's something that was planned with somebody and they flake out and it left you very empty and you're upset and I feel like you're turning your back. And someone is trying to come back and charm you. Likewise, you might have invested a lot of time in a situation and then realize the other person was not committed and you're walking away. And as you're walking away, they try to lure you back in. And your stance here, which I think is great because you're taking a stance and you're like, I don't believe it anymore. I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. And I feel like they're going to try to, I feel like it's still going to be the same type of behavior. Okay, so it's like very cyclical to me. And then likewise, if the other person is upset with you, they're going to tell you, I'll believe it when I see it. And you're like trying, and I feel like at that point, you don't even want to try it, but you just feel like, it's a challenge, like, so I guess the best way that I can put this is you might have disappointed someone in the past and they're coming in very skeptical about your intentions. And they tell you, I need a grand gesture from you in order to believe you. And at this point, you might not even won't feel like it's worth it anymore. But because they're posing it as a challenge, you want to just overcome that challenge. You want to win. So your heart is not doing it to gain that person. Your heart's doing it out of that sense of like, okay, they're accusing me, so I need to somehow accomplish this. Does that make sense? I feel like that's a really poor way of explaining things, but I'm going to leave it at that because I feel like a lot of you might be doing it because you feel like you're being challenged rather than because your heart is interested in winning over a specific person on your side. And be very careful about that, okay? Argue on like use high-minded tactics, but also argue to arrive at the truth, not to win. I feel like if you can embrace that energy, it's going to help you greatly for this month. And then I feel like, whatever situation that has been real, it seemed really promising and then it just faltered. I feel like it's going to start again, but it's going to be with different people at the end of the month, okay? And especially going into like November, because I feel like something happened in August for you guys where you had high hopes and expectations for a specific venture. It flopped, and then you went a different route, and then now it's making a comeback. And but I feel like it's going to be the same old, same old. So you're starting something else with other people. Okay. Now going to your advice, we have some good cards. First of all, for those of you in legal disputes, legal situations, okay, I do feel there's going to be some easing up of this situation, mainly because there's going to be a third party, like a mediator, coming into the picture to alleviate the tension and to help the situation. This is an advisor. This is somebody who's very objective. So they can give you very wise counsel, but the main thing that they're going to do is they're going to give you very, very clear advice. And if you follow whatever they tell you, I do feel that it's going to end swiftly and it's not going to leave you too scarred and too damaged. So I definitely feel, especially for those who are going through some type of a legal situation, okay? For others of you, there's going to be some type of a talk communication coming through, and you've got like an air sign, an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra. That is going to be on your team. That is going to be a big, big help for you. So this person could be in a legal profession. They have some knowledge here when it comes to legal profession. They have some type of they're just very objective and they're very, very balanced. They have some very strong insights, and it's gonna help you navigate some really convoluted, confusing energies that you're dealing with for this month. Okay. So overall, it looks really good. We do have your public image taking a turn for the better. I feel finances. It's not too great. I don't feel anything too detrimental, but I would say try to curb your financial spending for this month, mainly because that was the first message that came out. And I also feel like, when we argue, try to aim for the truth, try to flush out the truth and take the high road rather than arguing just to be right. Okay?